Hey, what's going on?
Hi there.
All right. California.
Yes, California. Beautiful weather.
Yeah, you got good weather. Yeah, we still got the hot weather here in Japan.
hmm
Still so humid.
Well, we have the
But
craziness though. So,
I mean, Larkspur always has good weather. I have it on on my phone. It's like it's beautiful
uh-huh.
compared to here. Here
Uh-huh.
it's like 107 and 100% humidity.
But the houses are cheap. Excuse me.
Of course, yes, that's why. Who
Anyway,
wants to live here? Who comes here for the weather? Yeah.
anyway.
Anyway, I wanted to talk. I was thinking about doing this podcast. I had already done something on YouTube before,
hmm
talking about the show that I went to out of high school, and it was something that really stuck with me because I had went to a lot of Grateful Dead concerts and
Okay.
all over the place, New York and L.A.
hmm
and everywhere, but and certainly San Francisco. But starting when I was a teenager, before high school even. But um, this particular concert was my favorite and it was just I don't, to me it was a really pivotal moment
hmm
in the history of the Grateful Dead,
Yeah.
and to my knowledge, no one's really ever talked about it or why this was so.
Yes, of course. Uh-huh.
So I thought we would try
Sure.
recording this and see if I could spin it into some kind of uh podcast or something. I just want to
Okay.
see how it looks and how I can edit it, kind of thing.
Okay, great.
I need to
Well,
use Zoom because I don't have anybody here I could interview.
that's fine.
I mean, if I interview someone here, they're like, Grateful Dead? Who? What? No one knows anything
How can you
here.
be
So
grateful for being dead?
I am very grateful, Sushi.
Grateful sushi. Hey, grateful. Maybe that'd be a good
Well,
name for some of
actually,
your stuff.
we have a really good Grateful Dead tribute band in Tokyo.
Oh,
They're
really?
really good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they sing all the Grateful Dead songs in Japanese. And the guy is a really good guitar player. I seriously.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got a beard, and he's Jerry. He's like Japanese Jerry, and he's got the Jerry style. The band is good.
You could
They
even
have two
use it for some of
drummers.
your other stuff. Grateful pair.
They're called the Warlocks of Tokyo,
Huh. Wow. Okay.
and they're very good, actually. So yeah. So would you have any questions about this particular show? It
Well,
happened in July of 1976.
it seems so. Just in what little I know about the Grateful Dead, it seems like why what was it? Why was it important to do these smaller shows? Because I always pictured the Grateful Dead doing large concerts and big events, and all of a sudden they're doing these smaller venues and you said movie
Yeah,
theaters,
that
college
was a
campuses.
period of a lot more smaller venues. Apparently, I read the manager's book, which was really good read,
hmm
fantastic book, cool guy, and I think, not paraphrasing him, but he was one of the ones that came up with the idea of scaling it to a small theaters on Market
hmm
Street or wherever around the
Uh-huh.
country and
Uh-huh.
universities and getting away from these gigantic, barns that you play in or concert halls where there's bad audio and, kind of thing like that, right? So I think the Orpheum Theater on Market Street sits about 2,000 plus people.
Uh-huh.
So it's acoustically, I guess it's pretty good because I thought it was sounded great.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah, well, that was actually a question I was going to have. What was the difference in sound? I mean, they're used to big venues, and
yeah.
all of a sudden they're doing a smaller one. How was the sound difference to
Well,
you?
that's interesting you ask that because a year later in 77, I saw them at Winterland
Uh-huh.
and it was so different. It was really rock and roll and wow, you know, and it sounded a little chalky and the sound sounded a little harsh to me, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But the Orpheum show was so quiet.
hmm
It was so quiet
Yeah.
and everything was turned down and they had revisited songs from the 60s that they hadn't played in a long time, but this time they played them very slowly.
Uh-huh.
The tempo changed, and they did a lot of songs where they meshed songs together,
Huh.
which is called a sandwich, like a song sandwich, and
Yeah.
that was really interesting. I thought to me, I went by myself. I got something in the mail saying you're allowed to have these tickets, and so I went down and got the tickets for 3 nights. I could have asked some girlfriend or something, but I wanted to go 3 nights, and yeah, it was just incredible concert. I mean, it was a little lonely sitting there in the chair by
hmm
myself, but
hmm
the audio quality I have never ever heard that kind of audio quality out of
Uh-huh.
any group in my whole
Uh-huh.
life.
Uh-huh.
Just the bass, the two drummers weren't overpowering. Jerry's guitar was otherworldly sounding. And the vocals sounded really good. It just sounded like it sounded like you were listening to a hi-fi, stereo
Like in a
system.
living room or something. That's
Oh,
probably
it
maybe
was
the
amazing.
acoustics. Yeah, probably softer acoustics influence, padded. Everything's padded in the movie theater. That's
Well, as the
cool.
seats are, velour seats or something like that. I don't
Well,
know, but and the bodies probably ate up a lot of sound. But they scaled. Before that, they had like 2 stories of equipment, thousands, hundreds of speakers. And then
mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
show, apparently, the manager said, it's too expensive, and you got to cut back, and let's cut back the equipment. And it was really scaled down, but they had acoustic piano, and it was fantastic. It
That's
just
great.
wow, and it was the first show that the two drummers had reappeared, kind of officially.
Mm-hmm. So why
So
though did they want to scale down? Why did they scale down? Sounds like they were not, from what you're saying, they just didn't have a lot of money. I mean, they wanted to make money, and was there any other reason why they scaled down to?
I don't know. I think they just wanted. I think the managers had a better idea to make it tighter
Uh-huh.
and make it more efficient and
Yeah.
more appeal to the fan base rather than just party, Grateful Dead. That happened later in the '80s, of course. They
Uh-huh.
say there was more people outside the Grateful Dead concert than inside. But that's at this time it was a completely different Grateful Dead than in the '80s or '90s. And I just love this period, and I love this show. I listen to it once in a while, on YouTube or on archives, and the songs they picked were all my favorite songs, and certainly they were played so well and so relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't in
Mm-hmm.
a hurry to do it. Whereas in '77 in Winterland, it was like, wow, it was like Johnny B. Good,
Yeah, yeah.
rock and roll. But this
Well,
show wasn't like that.
it brings up another point that they think of again, because we're talking about the sound and the quality of sound. What about the equipment itself? What kind of equipment did they have?
Well, they had their
Was it
standard Macintosh power amps. They had JBL speakers.
uh-huh,
I think Jerry had like a small Mesa Boogie, a guitar amp, a couple of
uh-huh,
those.
uh-huh,
I don't remember exactly what they had, but there was one thing different is that in the 75 and 76, Jerry had this really cool guitar where the neck was aluminum.
huh.
Yeah, the fretboard was wood, but the actual neck itself was aluminum, and parts of the guitar were aluminum, and it's called a Travis Beam, and it was a really cool sound for a guitar. It had a lot of really interesting electronics in it too. The
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
electronics were really advanced
Wow.
inside the guitar,
Hmm.
and the sound was so clear and so piercing and so beautiful. If you hear that guitar compared to some of his other guitars, it was just so sweet,
Uh-huh.
It's just the sweetest sound, I think,
So
especially on the vibratos. The vibrato was so long and beautiful vibrato. I don't know why the aluminum neck would hold a vibrato so long, but it
mhm,
did,
mhm.
So I think he got rid of the Travis Beam sometime in '77. They got another custom guitar back again. He played his other, and that sounded pretty good, but this thing sounded just amazing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder what
And
prompted the
they
change.
make this guitar again. Some
Oh
company
yeah.
makes a tribute to this guitar,
Uh-huh.
which I thought would be a good advertiser for the podcast
Yeah, it would
because
be.
this guitar is really cool. That
Excuse me.
somebody made this guitar, they're selling them. They're not very much money, and it's an exact copy of the Travis Beam
Really?
500. Yeah, it's really cool.
How much did the original sell for? You have any idea? Did it
Well,
sell?
I
Was
think
it
the
done?
original you could get them for 10 grand or something like that,
Wow.
15 grand, but or more perhaps. I
Sweet.
heard that Keith Richards bought one too. A lot of people bought this Travis Beam guitar, but they don't make them anymore. But
Huh.
the electronics was super interesting,
Mm-hmm.
and it sounded great. Yeah, it's really cool sound. Very clear, but not ice picky clear. You know what I mean?
Excuse me. Yeah.
It didn't hurt your ears clear. It was just
Uh-huh.
so it was like the band was here, and then there was this sound on the top that was weaving in and out. It was obviously louder than everything else, but it was like as if it was like a serpent. It's hard to explain.
Uh-huh.
I didn't take any drugs that night or anything. I didn't even smoke marijuana at that time, and so I was very clear of mind. And it seemed like the guitar was just so disconnected from the music. It's hard to explain,
Uh-huh.
even though it was on time and it played the right notes and all
Mm-hmm.
that. But it seemed like it was so separated. The tonality was so separated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
especially on the
great.
vibratos.
Uh-huh. Huh. Okay,
Like
great.
the
That's cool.
like the most delicate notes
You're
that
making
you
me want to see this thing.
just pick so carefully, with a pick, just so quiet note. That was amplified so loud with a Macintosh power amp and a
Uh-huh.
few JBL speakers, and then plus through the PA system, most likely.
Yeah.
That smallest little gentle pinch or pick uh, was just magnified. It was like seeing the eyes of a dragonfly on an electron microscope. You know what I mean? It's like,
Wow.
yeah, whoa, they have hair like that. It was like that kind
What
of
an
sound. It
image.
was an amazing sound. Never heard that kind of sound since that point. Never,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
or before. Yeah. Yeah. The concerts later on, I went, in the 80s and 90s, and it was never the
Well,
same quality sound.
how have the personnel changed though through all that time? I
No, the
mean,
personnel was the same. I
oh
mean, the
really?
keyboard player passed away in 79. They got a new keyboard player, and he was good too. Of course, they're all good players, but the sound quality just had shifted to another type of tonality.
Uh-huh.
So, and the songs they weren't doing them so slowly. That was the other weird part. It was just like so slow. I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe that bothered people a little bit. I don't know,
I would
but
bet
I
it was the
liked it. I thought it
atmosphere,
was real cool.
the padded velour seats, made
Yeah,
it
if you're
take
sitting down and you're not dancing, I don't remember
yeah.
people dancing, but the tempo changed went way down. Just the tempo and the feeling
Uh-huh.
of it was
Mm-hmm.
really it was really my favorite concert, and I listened to it all the time. And they never talk about it for some reason. He talked about it in his book, about using this Orpheum Theater, and I believe in May, Jerry Garcia Band played the Orpheum, just I guess to check it out, to
Uh-huh.
see
Uh-huh.
how it was acoustically, and he liked it. And they left their band equipment there, and they practiced at the Orpheum. I
Huh.
understand. I don't know if that's
Wow.
100% true, but this Richard Lauren guy is a really smart and cool guy, and I really like his stories, and his book was super cool. I really love to get him to talk to him more about how he came up with these ideas. I'm going to try to reach him somehow. So I think this is one of the reasons of this. I'm doing this so I can send him this and he can see that I'm not complete raving idiot.
As a result of this, you are going to get right through him. It's going to ring a bell because he's always wanted to talk about this concert,
Well,
and he's
maybe, I don't know,
so we'll
but
have to
he's
do
a
that
very
one.
intelligent guy, obviously, and he's very good with his words. And I don't really like to read that much books. I like audio things better, but I read his book cover to cover. It was very
Uh-huh.
well written.
What's his
I
book
liked it.
called? Richard Lawrence, you said?
Some the high notes, high notes by Richard Lauren. It's a very good book because he managed Liberace and he was a booking agent and he really knew the business.
Is he still
So
around? I would imagine he's sort of.
yeah, he's been doing some
Oh, yeah, of course,
podcasts
if you're
for the
trying to
Grateful
talk to
Dead.
him. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course
I
he's
mean
there.
he did the last podcast I heard of the Grateful Dead. He
Uh-huh.
talked a lot.
Great.
They did three shows in Florida in 78, and he talked about a lot about that through those three show run, in 78, which
Well, he
was a
must have
good
been a
good
fairly
period.
young guy in
Yeah,
those
he also managed, I think, New Riders of the Purple Sage and some Marin bands.
uh-huh.
Peter Rowan,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, who is like your neighbor probably. And
I think I met him once.
yeah, well, you
The
met
Rowan, it was the
everybody.
Rowan brothers. They had a band called the Rowan Brothers, didn't
Yeah,
they?
he was working with the Rowan brothers and
Yeah, yeah. I met
who were
them. I met
very
him.
talented,
Yeah, I met
you
him during
know.
that time.
Um, well, I love that Marin County music, even though we don't get it here so much, but we have access. I have access on the internet to it all, so that's
Well,
good. And I play it myself,
we
so
we went saw Dan Hicks last. Well, the Hick, it's called the Hot Licks. Because
yeah, I
he's
remember them.
dead.
Yeah.
Well, you Dan Hicks, but Dan Hicks died of liver cancer fairly recently. But this is his band, so it's not a tribute band, but it's actually his musicians that he had in his band, and they're really good. One of them, the guy's a Mason, so he invited us to come out there and see the show out in Nicasio, and it was really cool. They got the two little girl singers and stuff, and it was that San
Yeah, they're a good
Francisco
band.
sound.
That's another Marin County band,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah,
So
Brendan sound.
as Huey Lewis is too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even though he's sort of, I don't know, sold out. I don't know if that's the right word,
Well, I
but
think he
he
just
wanted to make
retired.
money after music. You know, how do you do that?
Well, he owned that yogurt company. He made a ton of money. I forgot the name brand, but it's a very popular yogurt. And
Oh,
so he that's maybe why he branched out. He got other business stuff
who
and
knew?
yeah. But I forget what it's called, but it's
Well, that's
expensive
great.
too.
Any other questions you have about this
Um,
pivotal 19? It was
well, what did that help
July
them?
12th to July 18th, 1976.
Did that help their career? Did they get really established and got centered and stuff, and they were doing more shows, or as a result of it, or did it help the? Because you said they were
I
breaking
think it. I
popular.
think it. No, I don't know. They got popular when they got something on YouTube, MTV later on, and they had a hit song called "Touch of Grey," and that kind
Oh
of
yeah,
catapulted them to the mainstream. But this time they were only catering to deadheads per
yeah,
se, and I liked that, and it was really cool to kind of be a part of that family. And I knew people who knew them, and I had met the drummer one time, and they're just the nicest people.
uh-huh,
I thought. Mickey Hart, as you know, you said you met Mickey Hart too, and
yeah.
so
Yes, and someone I went to high school with was one of their people, Jerry Ray, I think is her name. She was a secretary or something. More.
it's funny how, uh, uh, the, like Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks came to your house. That's a
Yeah.
really cool
Oh yeah,
story.
yeah. That was when
Wow.
they were when Fritz. Yeah, when they were in that band Fritz
Fritz,
before
yeah, that's right.
Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, it came
Yeah,
for a
before
jam.
Fleetwood Mac. That's how they were discovered for Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I went to school. Another classmate, Terry Tutory, was in that band Fritz. That's how it happened. Of course, nobody knew what the future was going to be, but they were
Yeah,
amazing when they
the
were there.
future was wow. See you later, Tone. What was that? Okay, thanks. See you later. Let me know when you're coming back. My daughter's leaving. To
Oh,
take a bus, go to school. So, um, yeah, anyway, yeah, I think that my cousin worked for Fleetwood Mac for a long time, Leo Rossi. He
uh-huh.
wrote a book that's on Amazon
Oh,
about
really?
his
Great.
experience. And he was a stage manager. First, he was a lighting guy, and then he became the stage manager for Fleetwood Mac.
Wow. That's a
So
hell of
he
a
has
lot
a
of
lot of stories,
responsibility.
of course,
I
during the
bet.
Coke years that they were putting a lot of Coke in their nose, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, brother. Those years. Have I ever
I think
recovered?
Well, I think, sir, one thing's for sure. I didn't do any drugs at all or drink at the time, certainly. So I remember a lot of those shows very well. My
Uh-huh.
memory is pretty good for 67 years old,
Uh-huh.
My memory is pretty good, I guess. Who are you? No. Who am I talking to?
Eh?
Yeah, that's right. Ooh.
Yeah, that's great. Okay,
Well,
well,
you can stop recording now. That's all
all
right.
right. You can stop recording now, Israel. Okay. Let's see.